Pantry, and today, yep, you saw it right, I'm gonna can some ugly chicken, and all that means is I'm gonna raw pack it. And it will, depending on the purity of the meat itself or the impurities, some of it will get stuck and it kind of melds together even though you cut it up, right? So I'm gonna cut it up, get it in the jars. The jars are cold, the chicken's cold, the canner's cold. I will heat up my lids because I'm using tattlers as well as button top lids, and I need to heat up the tattler lids so they get a good seal. I've already marked on the gasket. This is the 4th use for this one, first time for this one, and second time for the 3rd one there. And I'm using wide mouth and regular mouth. So I'm gonna get 7 pints of chicken put on my shelf because the ugly chicken cook-off has almost depleted my ugly chicken. And I thought, you know, everybody is raving about how good it is. And so the only one I've preferred is bone in skin on, but guess what? I'm gonna step outside my box and decide whether I actually like ugly chicken or not. I still like the part cooked stuff because for like a chicken salad or tacos or shredded chicken pulled meat, oh my gosh, then it's not too soggy, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's what we're doing. I'm gonna get this stuff on the shelf while the prices are good, because prices are going up. Anyways, I did get this chicken for $1.99 a pound. It's very good quality chicken and I absolutely love it. I'm probably gonna add a little bit of broth only because I wanna make sure the chicken's covered in broth. So I'll add some cold chicken stock. Don't judge me. Okay, so this is as simple as it gets. I'm gonna leave any fat that might be on there. There's not much on these. These are really clean chicken breast. And I do enjoy this brand. It actually is, it always stays tender. It's not stringy. None of it. So it's roughly a pound of chicken per jar. So, which, you know, you could do this. I mean, raw packed thighs would be delicious too, but I thought, you know, I do it with the bone in skin on. I'm going to jump in and do it this way because, yeah, you guys, it's this simple. Fill up your jar, okay? I am going to add, like I said, some broth to it. So cold chicken stock is just what the doctor ordered. So I probably am not going to stuff the jar as full as maybe I would if I wasn't putting broth in there. I don't know. You want an inch of headspace left when you're done, right? So, okay, so I'd say that's good. Perfect. Perfect inch of headspace. Okay. So that's all I'm going to be doing. Let me get all these jars filled for you, and then I will move on to the next step and add some broth. Okay? All right. What a great project for my day off. And I've got plenty of time to get this done and on the shelf and get everything cleaned up before I have to get ready for dinner with the family. All right. Yep. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so I've got all the jars are filled, and I went out to the storage, and I have, in April, I canned up some chicken, and I had some extra chicken broth, and so we're going to use that in our recipe, and any that might be left over, and you don't have to add liquid. I know that this is probably not necessary at all, but I'm going to. In each one, I'm going to put not quite a half a teaspoon of kosher salt in each jar. Got to have some salt. A little less than a half teaspoon. You don't have to do this either if you don't want to. I want to. Okay, and I'm going to Riscal and pour in just a little bit because it's gonna, and I'm gonna deep bubble and pack my jar. And I've got it kind of loosely packed only because I don't know, I want some broth in there, and that could hold a little bit more. Maybe I'll do one jar without it and show you guys the difference. I don't know, a little bit more. And there we go. So my chicken is going to be submerged no matter what. Yes, perfect. So I'm going to do all the jars the same way. This, I have vinegar on here, and I put a couple tablespoons of vinegar in my canning water. So this is a Tatler lid. And we're going to center that on just like that. Center it. Get yourself a ring, tighten it, and back off. That doesn't feel right. Tighten it, fingertip tight, and then back it off 1/4 of an inch, and you're good to go. It's ready to go in the canner. And it doesn't look too bad right now. Okay. Let's do the rest of these. Want to? Maybe I won't fill this one quite as full. Oh, there's some big air pockets in there, so you want to get those. You don't have to have it 2 inch head space. Just a little bit less is fine. Or you, like I said, you don't have to put the liquid in at all, but I have done it that way before, and that's the way I'm gonna do it now. So Tatler lid, fingertip, and back off 1/4 of an inch, and in the canner she goes to wait for the rest of the kids. All right, this is a good use of that broth too, because it's hard to use, you know, just a pint of broth. Usually I need a quart. Once in a while though, for I might do some chicken stock in pint jars. Once in a while it is nice to have a little bit less. That has a little bit more than I want. So we're going to put that over into the next jar. Okay. Wipe the rim. Hot Tatler. And that water is hot. But I have fingers like asbestos, so we're good. Finger tight. Back off 1/4 of an inch. And in the canner she goes. And I've turned the burner on now because I'm going to equal part this out. Let's see if I can't. I don't want to, I want all of them to have the broth in there. At least a little bit. It's going to make its own as well, but chicken breast doesn't have that much juice to it, and that's, you know what I mean? I want it to, it will create its own, I know. Okay. It's going to be hard to get me on the raw packed chicken wagon. That one's got room for more. Okay, I guess we're done. And I used up almost a pint of that. I could put a little bit more in here. Oh, well, I'm going to put a little bit more. And then get the lid on all of these. And, oh, and we got smallmouth are next, it looks like. So let's get those wiped off and get our magnet. Whoops, where are we at? And just finger tight and magnet. Finger tight. And there we go. Look at that. We're done. It's going in the canner. And it's going to can once the processing time starts, and that's after it's vented for 10 minutes. It'll take a while for a cold canner to come up to pressure and up to temperature, actually, to even vent. I'm putting it in just before 1 in the afternoon. So you guys I'll time it and tell you how long it takes. It's going to take a little longer than a hot canning
Okay,
session.
I've got all the jars in. I did have to empty one of the wide mouths, just so you know. There's 4 wide mouths now and 3. I couldn't remember how it fit. 3 regular mouth. So I emptied one of the wide mouth into a clean regular mouth and got it sealed up. And so putting the lid on, opposites, thumb screws, and oops. I'm excited. This is going to be a fun project. And it'll be fun to experiment with, even though the ugly chicken cook-off is done. Maybe I'll use this instead for my last video. In fact, I think I will. Guys, I'm going to use this ugly chicken for my last ugly chicken cook-off video. But you'll see other recipes coming up behind it as well. So, canner is getting warm. As soon as it comes up and it starts venting out of the petcock, then I will let that vent for 10 minutes as usual. After that's happened and the timer's gone off, then we'll put our 10-pound weight, and that's for my altitude. That would go on, and when it starts and dancing, releasing pressure, we're going to start the timing. It'll go for 75 minutes. All right. Hey guys, it's time. These went for 75 minutes. I loosened, once it came down off of pressure, I loosened everything up, and I put, then after that, I took the lid and kind of let it get a big, nice vented area over here. I'm going to turn my oven off. And now it's time to take the jars out and have the big reveal. So I'm going to take the tattlers out first. The water looks very clear. I'm super excited about that. Lisa thinks maybe this is an ugly chicken because I put broth in it, but it's raw packed, so it's still ugly. I can see how ugly it is. Ooh, look at that. So we still got a lot of the broth. It's still expanded and right up to the top right now, but I'm going to go ahead and tighten this lid down, and I do see where there's stuff, you know, that residue. So on a tattler lid, once it comes out of the canner, you're going to tighten it down. If you hear any hissing, any noise at all on that jar, do not touch it. In fact, if you hear that, when you bring it out of here, you put it right back down in that canner. Yeah, so you can see, because all the chicken is at the top, it'll drop down. There's where it floated to the top. It's okay. It's going to be submerged in broth, which is what I wanted. And down that goes. So we got one more tattler. And yeah. Oh, and actually I'm kind of excited for this. I really am, because I haven't had ugly chicken in years. I just remember, I have memories. And so all these lids though have sucked down and they're concave, so I think they've already sealed. But it's gonna be beautiful. Ugly chicken. Okay, here's this is I want to look at, can you see it? They're still boiling and they've been sitting in that canner. Can you see that? Yeah. Ooh, yeah. They're still boiling in the jar, and they've been in the canner resting for over a half hour. And I mean, I had a phone call and I let them go a little bit longer than I normally would have, but I can also tell you it's got that stuff on the jar that I don't care for. Yeah, the looks of, I don't know if you can see that. It's not much, but there is a little bit of it. So to get that off after you've opened the jar, especially on these narrow mouth jars or regular mouth jars, I will fill them with warm soapy water and a little bit of Dawn dish soap, some baking soda, or just vinegar, and it comes right off. I mean, literally soak it for 10 minutes and you put a brush down in there and it's off. So it's not a big deal. My water is clear, and here, let's prove it. Okay, guys. Okay, you ready? Whoop, clear water. Whoop. Okay. And yeah, I don't think I had much venting at all. So I'm super excited. I'm glad that I got to bring you along for this. And I hope that this inspires you to go ahead, try your hand at home canning. Now I have 7 pounds of chicken, or maybe shy of a pound, but we'll say 7 meals for sure, enough for 2 to 3 people on my shelf at today's prices instead of tomorrow's. All right. And when I open that jar, it's going to get reused. So it's recycled, reused. Everything is going to be reused. And I'm not putting cans from canned chicken, aluminum cans, in my landfill. I'm also not causing that processing plant to put emissions into the air and all of that. So any of you that are concerned about that kind of stuff, this is just another one of the reasons why I do it. I know what's in the jar. I did all of it. I picked it. I hand picked it. You don't know where the chicken that's in a can, when you buy it, you don't know where that chicken came from, how it was raised, or anything else. At least this way, I can hand pick it. I can put organic, free range, whatever I want in here, and know that I'm in control. So anyway, I'm going to get off that soapbox and say I can't wait to see you next time for a delicious recipe using my home canned ugly chicken. All right, if you don't think this is ugly chicken, you let me know, but I still say it qualifies as ugly chicken. What do you say? Leave me a comment in the comment section below and give me a vote. Yes? No? Maybe?